Welcome back to the Mel K Show. One of my favorite people is back with me today. He knows a lot more than I do about what is going on financially in the world, which makes no sense. I didn't know about fake financial news until the last few years, but one person that isn't giving fake news ever is Johnny Tabacco. Thank you for joining me, sir.
Mel K, thank you for having me again.
Thank you so much. I wanted to first and foremost talk to you a little bit about what your take is on what happened since last Friday in the markets, in the world, and how it affects me and you and everyone out there.
Yeah, I mean, look, this has been a long time coming. I was just on Newsmax the other day talking about how 9 months ago, the Federal Reserve Bank in their minutes said that we have to slow down the jobs market and we have to weaken the economy. We have to slow consumption. We have to make it harder for people to consume to bring inflation down. In the Fed minutes, almost a year ago, they said there will be hopefully a soft-ish landing. That's what our Federal Reserve Chairman said, soft-ish, hopefully, but there will be pain.
Yeah.
We could face a recession. Right? So they said it. And I went on Newsmax, not like some great commentator. I read the freaking minutes. It said, they just said right here, recession by next year, 24, and then 2 years to come out of it. So Mel, we've been in it. The Biden administration and all the minstrels that are now jumping off the ship and joining Kamala Harris, the financial people, the Bidenomics masters.
Right.
These people have been pumping artificial money into the markets, which makes the stock market look up. I don't want to get too wacky for your viewers, like too in the weeds in the markets, but, 7 to 10 stocks like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Facebook, Meta, Alphabet, all those, right? You can buy those 7 stocks and actually affect the Dow Jones Industrial Average to the upside just by doing them, the way they balance it. 7 stocks moves the market.
Right.
Most other people are looking at their 401k and saying, wait, something ain't right here. So I said it's a house of cards, probably going to fall. I'm not surprised. Everybody yesterday is like, oh, it's over. We were up 300 points today. Well, we had the largest 2-day loss between Friday and Monday in like 40 years. Okay, and when you get 300 back, Mel, I'm going to give everybody a little learnedness in the markets. There's a thing, it's a technical thing. It's called a dead cat bounce. Don't get caught in a dead cat bounce. So when a stock comes flying down, and then a day or two later, it starts to go back up and it's like, oh, everything's fine. And then it goes, and they call it a dead cat because the old saying was, even if you throw a dead cat off a roof, it'll bounce.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So if you follow me, this little tremor here, like everything's going to be okay. I would continue to remind people, stay closer to cash than anything, stay liquid, and don't keep more than $250,000 in any one bank account.
Yeah.
Seismic shift, if you ask me, with independent voters. There's, and Mel, I've been in the whole Bitcoin cool world for a while, since 2015, and seismic in that I think they say there's 30 to 40 million single issue voters, Bitcoin.
Right.
People that want, a decentralized currency, to keep your hands off my lands, people, I call it. Right? The 30 to 40 million people that is a key issue. And I think Donald Trump showing up, I was at like the first and the second and the third one. And it was all guys going to strip clubs afterwards. And, it was like harem scarum in the beginning. It was people from all over the world, the people speaking all different languages. But for me personally to see, wow, the president of the United States just walked on the stage and said, I'm with you guys. We want decentralized money. We don't want a central bank. And we talked about it. Remember?
Yeah, sure.
We talked about how bad the central bank digital currency is. Horrible.
Yeah.
And Trump, I think, and luckily from time to time, I've been trying to get Devin Nunes, the CEO of Trump's company, former congressman. I've been trying to get him on my show. So, I've been rapping with him here and there about Bitcoin, trying to at least throw some knowledge out into the universe because it's new to a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
And I said to him, I said, Trump could win the election because this is one place where the contrast is so stark. Gary Gensler and the SEC have been cracking down on Bitcoin, making it so hard for these guys to innovate.
Right.
And Trump says, I'm with you. I think it's both an intelligent idea for libertarian, liberty-seeking people. It's the new great new craze.
Right.
It's like the old debit card.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, nobody had debit cards. I used to own a bar. We got all cash.
Right.
But now everybody got debit cards, credit cards. And, to me, I think, sooner rather than later, younger people are getting so much more adept at this that somebody like Trump giving it the seal of approval and saying, now I understand it and I'm down with it. To me, that's great for, what they call mass adoption.
Right.
Let me just give you one stat. People may think I know more about pizzas than, the green energy scam, right? But I actually study and read, and, my girlfriend is a great teacher also, so she puts me on stuff. And we started looking at windmills, and I was like, okay, people should stand up for themselves and say no, but whatever. And they're really, really bad. It turns out after months and months of investigation, they're really bad. But being a numbers guy, listen to this. By their own standards, if they keep them up to speed perfect and they operate at perfect capacity, these big wind turbines, right?
Right.
They lose 5% of their efficiency per year. So each year they're running, it's getting a little older, the tires are getting a little treads on every 5 years. We signed in New York a 25-year contract, okay? So I say, well, if you lose 5 a year, after 20, there's no more 5s, right? So that thing's out of business.
Right.
Right? So you can't, it's even if you kept it up to snuff by their own spec, it only has a 20-year lifespan. So do they come in with the windmill police then and take them all down and everything and like restore all the earth, put all the snails and clams back in? No, there's just going to be these rotting shells out there, and then they're going to tell us why they have to spend billions to take those down and put them back up. And by the way, your audience will love this. This is true. Everyone can go out there, look it up. The companies that, I don't want to get accused of slander, but look at the New York State contracts with the windmill companies, wind turbines, Kathy Hochul, just look them up, okay? And one of them is a Norwegian company. Say, oh, it's just those guys in Norway. They make these beautiful windmills and they're great, right? Behind the scenes, Norway has a partnership with China Steel.
Right.
So China is providing all the hardware and software to the windmills for the Norwegians, and the Norwegians are leasing it to us for 25 years, and after 20, they're dead. So I'm like, this is a total, absolute scam. I graduated St. John's with a 2.8. I'm not a rocket scientist, but 5 times 20 equals 100.
Right.
Who would sign that deal?
Yeah.
Any CEO in America would be fired the next day.
Yeah, and talk about the climate and the pollution and all that. What happens to them then? They go to the windmill graveyard, and then we're stuck with that. That's the same thing also that's going on with the EVs. Yeah, then what?
They put the from the windings, and I don't know if you like me, but I feel like every time I see these freaking windmills anywhere, they ain't moving. Like, it always looks like they're not moving. They go that fast that they don't look like it,
Yeah.
But they emit, by the operations, the grease and the wheels and the grinding and everything else, they emit a, toxic offspring that is literally lethal. And it's just for 20 years leaking into the water. Now, I'm not saying it's poisoning all the sea, because that's big, but like, if you or I had an engineering company where we had some machines and we were leaking like an ounce of this shit, They'd have the EPA,
I know.
the DEC. They'd swat us.
Yes.
You understand? It's a poisonous, toxic. What do they call it? It's like a secretion from all the operations.
Right.
They grease it and all.
It's so crazy.
They're everywhere. In New York State, the Republicans joined the Democrats. The New York State Republican Party chairman joined the Democrats in passing a bill that all the school buses have to be electric by a certain year, 2027 or some shit.
Yeah.
And like Trump says it joking around, but like what if it's not sunny for a few days? You know what I mean? What if there's not enough power? Like kids can't go to schools, like a snow day, then, no power day.
Yeah.
So, you know what? Number one, I'm with Elon Musk on this one. He's like, stop with the water. We know how to desalinate water. The water's 3/4 of the earth. We'll figure out a way to get water, right? Maybe it's not drinkable, or you got to boil it, whatever. But water's not a problem.
Right.
Israel's living off the Red Sea over there for years. That's their water. They filter it, right? So it's like water is not the problem. But I will tell you that I had a lease on the former Alcoa aluminum can company. They had a big factory way upstate New York. And they had built for the township like this water generator system. It was right on the river. So the water, it was what they call it, hydroelectric system, where the water goes through and spins the wheels and creates energy, so that this building was completely self-sufficient off the water. I think Allegheny River or something, right? Mm-hmm. And we were going to put hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin miners in there and mine for Bitcoin.
Right.
And they were going to give us a couple of breaks on the electrical costs, because we were going to create, all these tech jobs, and we're going to clean up the area, the acreage around, and all this other stuff. So New York's not typically an effective state for cost of energy for that, but between the hydroelectric, and we were able to sell energy back to the grid from that too. So it was worth it to do it in New York, in the Empire, they call them the Empire Zone. And then they started running it for a little while, and this factory was closed down. Alcoa closed down like years ago. The people downstream started saying that the water's, dude, there's something wrong with the water. It's because of and then they say they made a new you need a license to do this in New York. So they regulated us right out of town. And now all the Bitcoin mining farms, you know where they are? They're in Iceland.
Oh, wow. Really? Wow. Yeah. Because what we're watching also is all these farmers all over the country are coming out and saying, like, especially in California, that they're diverting water from them. And what's really sad too, is I've been all over the country, and Rob and I drive a lot. We have thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of acres of abandoned farmland, and abandoned like full towns and stuff. And it's just sitting there.
Take one, Mel.
What?
We should go take one.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, why aren't we investing in that? Like, we should have farms everywhere.
We go out there, we find a little broken downtown, we just claim it.
Right.
That's the parent, you said before, the parent company of America. That's the parent company of America.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's very obvious.
It's really the parent company of the world. And again, I don't want to go too far in the weeds with your viewers, but, BlackRock, Vanguard, right? Everybody knows what Vanguard indexes are, right? Soros invests with Vanguard, okay? BlackRock invests with Vanguard, and they make these index funds and they do all these other special services. Bill Gates Trust invests with Vanguard, right? So if you look at 80% of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the 30 stocks in Dow Jones, 80% of them, their top three shareholders are BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, because State Street's the custodian bank for those funds. So those three, and Rob knows about this, they basically control every public company and, effectively the world. Is that us?
Yeah, I guess.
I guess.
But this ESG investing.
What are we these days? we were a basket of a bucket of deplorables.
Right.
Right. Then we were MAGA extremists.
Right.
This is now we're weirdos. You know.
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
Yeah.
I think, I'm not a big like Star Wars guy, but I feel like Larry Fink is the equivalent of Darth Vader. You know what I'm saying? Like he's the guy that has the ultimate power, works behind the scenes. But, even again, I mentioned before, I may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but I sometimes find my best material by reciting someone else's words.
Right.
If it's like one of the things I like to do.
Yeah.
And Larry Fink, I just tweeted this the other day. He was at a conference a couple of years ago, and he was talking about how they have the control of all these boards of all these companies, like we were talking about. And they said, well, we know you're big on the DEI, but do you? And he said, we force outcomes.
Right.
You follow me? He said, we force outcomes. Ultimately, if we're investing in you, we force outcomes. So he basically, again, I like repeating their words. He said, we force outcomes. You can't misconstrue that.
No. And speaking of his words, about 6 months before COVID hit us, before the COVID operation, Larry Fink had his big meeting in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and had a whole speech. I call it the going direct speech, and I tell people to look it up. But essentially what it seems like he's saying in his going direct speech was basically the government's not moving fast enough towards this agenda that they all have, the Great Reset Agenda 2030. So we're going to have to go direct. And if you read what he's saying is that they're going to use the banks and the corporations, the multinationals, of course, that he controls, to manipulate the masses, like you said, force change towards the digital infrastructure, I think, which is the DEI, the ESG, and the track and trace surveillance, so that we can control behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, isn't that Mussolini?
Listen, I think we had a really cool discussion the last time on the digital on the central bank currency.
Right.
But many people don't realize that we already kind of have a central currency. It's our debit card, right? So we have to go to, a third-party ATM who goes to their bank, whose bank goes to our bank and says, hey, is Mel's ATM good? And then the thing says, yes. It says they give it back, they charge a fee. And then, there's all these layers of middlemen that you have to use to get money. If the government wanted to shut down your debit card, they'd have to go to the court system and say, hey, here's the reason we want to lock our account, right? There's a legal process. With a central bank, with central digital wallet, they could literally start a, communist-like, digital credit score for how you behave. Do you speed? Do you spit? Right? Do you overspend? Do you get drunk? Hey, you bought 4 bottles of Jack Daniels this month. You're out. You can't purchase any more liquor for the next month.
Right.
Oh, you know what? Your car, you only get 200 miles a week, and you're at 250. We're shutting. You can't use your car no more. So all the it's almost like Apple Pay is their way in. The more I get addicted to Apple Pay, the more I realize we need other cryptocurrencies and intermediaries that could pay that bill instead of Apple Pay. Yeah. Because ultimately, Apple, the App Store, the iTunes, they banned, they banned everything. They shut everyone down. So they enjoy that right to say, hey, you're on our platform, screw you. Yeah. A lot of people are addicted to the double click. I don't even know where to begin, but that was amazing. And I'll just say this. Being an Italian guy from Staten Island, we kind of have this code of omerta here that even if you're talking on the phone with your mother, you're like, yeah, I'll talk to you about that later. You know what I mean? Exactly. I see you when I see you. Right? Yeah. So, I have Clear. right? Because I was late for a flight one time, and I was like, screw it, I'm just paying. I'm shooting right to the front. I'm on, right?
Right.
And Kara recently was running late for a flight, so she did it, right? And she's like, I can't believe I did it, and everything. I'm like, maybe I'm jaded, because the FBI forever busting Italians is always up your ass if you have a vowel at the end of your name and you're successful.
Yeah.
But I said, honey, you know what? Everything you said, I agree with you 1,000,000%. Why give them more of what they need? But I just feel like we're looking at our screen, we're looking at our TV, we're looking at our
they got it, whatever.
They got it. If you don't, even us, we live in this world. We rely on media, which is the communication of information, right? We don't know if they're looking at us right now.
Oh, they are. Oh, they are.
That's what I well, yeah. Of course,
they are.
Because it's us. That's why they're watching. But I feel like, maybe I'm crazy, but I do a lot of man on the street stuff, and I don't care what the polls tell me. I like the kind of beat of the street stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing people from all walks of life who are, infinitely disgusted.
Yep.
And I'm talking about moderate Democrats and independents, right? But minority folks and stuff are just saying, like, I had to wait 7 years to get here. My aunt and uncle waited 11 years to get here, right? We were guaranteed that everybody should do that. So they're against it. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like the immigration thing is universal for middle and lower middle class folks, regardless of political affiliation. So I think a lot of those people are going to vote for Trump just to stop what they believe is the unfairness. You follow me?
Sure.
Everywhere I go, I was at the Bronx rally. We did a package for the show this week in the Bronx. And you got to tune in. Kara's asking people, is Kamala really black?
Wow.
And the responses were amazing. And this is real. We can't plan this stuff,
Right. I know. You guys are great at man on the street, which tells you more than anything else, as far as I can see.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. My real feel on the street is the migrant issue and all minorities. I see people in the Muslim and the Indian and Pakistan, all these different communities, Latino communities. They're about the family. They don't like the transgender at all. They don't like, here in New York, they don't like the non-parental consent. So in New York, they can let your kids start doing stuff without telling the parents. So I personally feel like to that 2030 and the agenda and everything, I feel like more people are waking up who weren't with us 5 years ago.
Oh, easily.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
It's just like they were young kids. They were as black as could be, right? I'm like the young kids. They're like strapping and stuff, with the guinea tees on, And in my mind, I'm thinking this kid's gonna be like, "Yo, Kamala, all the way, just naturally. We're in the Bronx, right?"
Yeah.
And the kid was like, so amazing. He said, no, man, it doesn't matter what you look like. Just because you look like me, you got to dig inside there. And that's not what people want. And Kara said, what do they want? He said, they want Trump.
Yeah.
I never believed that for a minute. The whole JFK story and then the bullet traveled back and to the left. Yeah, the bullet went back. Right. Okay, we got that one. And the movie I thought was great. Kevin Costner in that movie. But, a lot of people don't realize also, if you want to talk about coups, okay, I believe the deep state indicted Spiro Agnew, who was Richard Nixon's vice president, right? Indicted him and he removed him from office.
Right.
And then they installed, milquetoast, former CIA, former Naval Intelligence Officer Gerald Ford as Nixon's vice president, okay? And then within months, they got Nixon out, and guess who the president was? Unelected, unvoted.
Ford. Yeah,
Gerald
and he was
Ford.
on the Warren Commission, wasn't he, Warren?
I'm saying he was on. He paid his dues
Exactly.
on the Warren Commission. They said, okay, this Nixon guy is talking about splintering the CIA like that JFK guy was doing, and talking about getting rid of the central bankers. So we're going to have to make a move here. All right, let's get rid of the VP. Let's get Gerald Ford ready over there. Make him look good. He's a congressman from the Midwest there, Navy guy, go. He was a deep state plant.
Yeah.
That was a government operation very similar to the government operation they're running right now. If you think about it, they're shaping it a little. In this instance, they went for the president first.
Right.
And then move in a unelected, unvoted for, unselected person. I'll send it to you, but in 2008, okay, when Obama was in the primaries against Hillary, okay, Obama was not on the ballot in the state of Michigan in the primaries. However, he came down, he was fighting with the party, and he was not on the ballot. Okay, Hillary got like 17 million votes, 17,000 votes, whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And she got all the delegates. And then Obama's team, Harold Ickes, and that whole crew, right? Bill Ayers,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
They got together and had a big powwow with the Clintons, and they actually negotiated Obama like half the delegates for the state of Michigan. So he actually, this is in his family tree, because he got half the delegates in Michigan and he was not on the ballot. Wow. Think about that one. They gave him the delegates.
Remember.
I don't think they'll put him in jail. I just don't.
Right.
I maybe, it would be the dumb. I mean, look, so far, everything they've done, going back to, the collusion delusion, I used to call it, right? They were spying on him and Flynn. They set up Flynn before he even came in office, double impeachment, perfect phone call, right? Whistleblower, look, all the whistleblowers, now they were all out to roost. They were all deep state plants, right? They continue, the Russia, the pee in the bed, the secret server, right? It was all fake. The Steele dossier was fake. It was paid by Hillary. They broke her ham.
And they knew it.
Well, listen, if you think about it, every single person in Trump's universe that was a legitimate part of, in politics, they call it, you got your cabinet and then you got your kitchen cabinet, they call it. That's like your real group of insider friends that come over your house and talk about what's happening. Think about Trump's kitchen cabinet, okay? In the beginning, Paul Manafort went in jail. Mike Flynn, just about to go into jail. We got lucky, right? Stone, sentenced and then commuted, right?
Right.
Peter Navarro, jail, right? Weissman, this old guy is Trump's accountant and insurance guy for like 50 years. He had to sit in jail because he wouldn't agree to lie, right?
Yeah.
That's his money man, his accountant, his everything. I'm saying, I was just going to get there. Cohen, even though, in the beginning he went bad on us, right? But he was part of, right? He got indicted for taxi and limousine commission. And that's what made him go try to, notice he had nothing to rat on Trump about. You know what I mean? So he really played the government because he had nothing for them, you know? But just go around the table, Rudy Giuliani. You know what I mean? They basically saddled this man with almost $250 million in debt and took away his law license. So you can't even, at 80, you still got to work shit because you owe a lot of money, but you can't be a lawyer no more. You've been a respected, world-renowned attorney, prosecutor, 50 years. And now you can't earn, and they're hitting you with fake judgments. Like to me, Trump's whole crew was disgustingly persecuted.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'd like to have in charge of cleaning up the deep state and running the CIA, Devin Nunes.
Yeah.
Devin Nunes is the guy who was on the Congressional Intelligence Committee who came up with, he wasn't a big Trumper back then. He just dug in and said, holy shit, this whole thing was a setup on Trump.
Yeah.
And they set him up with the Steele dossier. I think Ratcliffe is going to be some part of the cleanup operation.
Yeah.
In the movie, I think, what was that, Reservoir Dogs, when they have the guy, the wolf?
Yes.
You know, the wolf?
I do. I love Reservoir Dogs.
He comes in.
Yeah. Right.
They start doing the whole cleanup operation.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Trump's going to, I think he's going to come. I mean, I don't know anything. You know what I mean?
No, I know. But you know some of these people in real life.
Yeah, I think Cash Patel's going to be in there.
Me too.
I think Devin Nunes is probably going to be in there. I think John Radcliffe, Rick Grinnell was the DNI. And he's kind of, he's so great and wealthy that he's an immovable guy. He's not somebody, I don't think he's someone we have to worry about, going along with the deep state.
Right, right.
Mel, did you ever watch, there was a show, I'm not a big TV series guy, but there used to be this show called Scandal. Did you ever see that show?
Oh, I saw it a long time ago. Yeah.
Remember the show Scandal?
I remember it. Yeah, it was like I totally remember it.
Girl was like, she's like a political make it happen girl.
Yeah, a fixer. Right.
Yeah, she was like the fixer, and she was like the president's PR guy, and she was like pulling all these strings. Yeah. And then she would go visit her dad at the museum in Washington, D.C., right?
Yeah.
And then you find out later that, this old museum guy pointing out dinosaurs, they go downstairs and they have this whole intelligence operation going on, and they're like the deep state. You understand? Yeah. They knock people off, change people's pets, have the SEAL team come up to their boat and hand them the pictures that if they don't vote this way, right? That's them, right?
Yeah.
And the movie, the show, this drama and all this other stuff that these are, but I always was gripped by it because to me, it was so actual. Yeah. That's probably how it's going down. You know what I mean? It's these, unassuming folks that we wouldn't even, let me ask you this. It's your show, but I wonder what people think about this. Who do you think has the last say? If you had to pick one person, Clapper, Brennan, Obama, Susan Rice, who do you think pushes the button? Yeah, I mean, look, I just always think, like,
who do you look at? Who do you answer that question?
I feel like Brennan and Clapper. Okay. I feel like they were the leading contenders to have ran this operation on Trump from the beginning.
And Comey was certainly involved.
They went to Comey and said, "Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to use the Patriot Act, and we're going to get these two hop FISA warrants on Stone and Manafort and Trump and all these other people and the kids and everyone. 2 hops, right? Do you talk about that?
Yeah, sure.
Your audience knows what that means, 2 hops.
Yeah, but you can tell them just in case.
Yeah, so those FISA warrants, they were like a joke, right? Most of them were called, I think, 2 hops.
Right.
And that means, like, Roger Stone called someone, right?
Yeah.
And then someone called someone else.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a hop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then someone else calls someone else. And they can listen for like a minute.
Yeah.
Like 30 seconds to a minute and surveil. And then they get to decide if there's material, potential criminal activity going on.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So they used the FISA, which is CIA. They lied. Basically, they had, asked if the one guy, Carter Page, if he was an asset of the Bureau, and he was, and they said he wasn't. And then they got a FISA on one of their own guys, right? So it's like...
Well, that's what I'm saying about the cover-up operation. And it was sedition. It was sedition and treason, what they all did, the whole Crossfire Hurricane. And they were bumping those people.
No, yeah. I personally think Obama strong-armed his way in there. If you go to Obama's roots, Tony Resco was a big crooked guy in Chicago and Illinois. Sold Obama his first house, let him cut the property in half, sell all this other schemery. And I mentioned it before, but Bill Ayers.
Totally. Yeah.
Bill Ayers is and was a domestic terrorist who supported, violent anarchist explosions and death. Blew up cops. I think it was called the Weather
Underground. Yeah, the Weather Underground. Him and his wife Bernadine Dorn had Obama and Michelle over every week.
Yeah, Bill Ayers, when Obama ran for state senate in Chicago, in Illinois, right?
Yep.
His first fundraiser was in the living room of Bill Ayers' house.
Yes.
So
yes.
I've been a part of a lot of campaigns in life, Mel. Okay. Like some you'll throw a party at the restaurant, some, you'll get a little catering hall or an Elks Club or a VFW. Very special ones, you bring like a small group of people into your house.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
yes, I do.
And you're basically telling everyone, and the candidate himself knows who you are because his crimes are well beyond him, but his philosophies live on in people like Obama. And, when you go to Bill Ayers' living room for your first fundraiser, you're basically saying,
"Yeah,
like it has to be fake,
right?"
But it's really a reality. These people are controlling the apparatus of our government.
Yeah, and a lot of these people, I think, are picked because they're easily controllable. Now, let's just talk about this choice of Waltz, the guy that allowed Minneapolis to burn.
Right.
I mean, how could they think that this would be? It seems to me like a game. I still believe that there's going to be fireworks at the DNC convention. I don't accept that this is what they're going with. I think they want order out of chaos. So the more chaos they create, the more I think they believe that the masses of people will be easily manipulated or demoralized and all of that. But so they picked this Waltz guy, okay, after Kamala doesn't run. And then this morning I see that Kamala, in her filing for Waltz to be her VP, is filing under Joe Biden's FEC number, and all the money is going to her. We would go to jail for such a thing. How are they? They don't care that we know that they are totally criminal. But what do you think of this Waltz pick? It's very strange.
I don't know, man. I thought that money's not allowed to be done like that. I thought they have to give it back, and then the people could redonate it, and there's a new FEC number. But this is what we were just talking about. The rules is there ain't no rules. You know what I'm saying? That's the rules. You know what I mean?
And they know that we know. It's so crazy to me. Like, they don't even care. Okay, now before I let you go, I want to get to the...
Can I just say one thing on Waltz? Can I just say one quick thing on Waltz? I think if you wrote down his key accomplishments as governor, said, I'm not going to tell you what state this person is from.
Right.
But here's what they're for. They let George Floyd, they let this state burn. Yep. Okay. They renounced police, defund, advocated to defund the police. Named their state a trans sanctuary state, so kids can come there and get all the hormone gender changing, and finally signed a bill to give illegal immigrants driver's licenses, and just say, what state's that guy from? Someone's going to say New York or got to be New York or California.
Right.
The most liberal states. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This guy is a California liberal.
Yeah.
Period. He's a wacky, he's an actual really dangerous progressive. And I don't know if you're on this yet, Mel, but I'm trying to get more info, but there's a 7-year period in his life when he traveled to China once a year doing fellowships. So do you love China that much?
Right, that's what I said.
Trump needs to keep focusing in on the boys and girls sports, the transgender, the conditioning the kids. I think he needs, because that, to me, really goes to the heart of family values people, regardless of
I agree.
political affiliation. Like me and Kara went to a Asians for Trump thing a couple of weeks ago in Queens,
cool.
Chinatown. And there was so many Asian people there, and all they care about is work and family.
Right. I think that's the majority.
I'm not saying they're one dimensional. I'm just saying, but their core values, and like Hispanic. My friend Rich Valdez is on the show this week. He's Dominican. He's Puerto Rican. Same thing. All these people are Christian. They care about the nuclear family. And to me, I think that's where Trump's going to make his best gains with moderate Democrats and independents by, talking about the attack on the family and the kids and the trans.
Yeah.